It's 11 a.m. and it's time for My Loso Lifestyle with Mary Shep. Mary, good morning. How are you today?
I am absolutely fantastic this morning. A little tired, but I'm doing really good. I've had a good
Yeah.
surprisingly, being that I'm working like a 12-day stretch. But that being said, I am. I'm having a really good week. So I've talked about this before, and before we go into the show today, the world is filled with so much hate, especially right now. It really is. It's hatred for political parties, hatred for COVID, hatred for your job, hatred for having to be with your spouse 24 hours a day because you're home because of COVID. There's so much hate, and that's a choice.
Yeah.
You choose to fill your heart with what you want to fill your heart with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it always shocks me how much people, I think, legitimately don't realize how much hate they're filling themselves with.
And it takes a lot of freaking energy.
It really does.
It's amazing.
It really, truly does. And so, I mean, are there days that I don't want to go to work? Sure. And there's days that I don't want to be married. And there's days that I don't want to eat well. And there's days I just want to sit home and be a fatty and eat ice cream, which I do probably more than I should. But does that mean I don't like my job or my husband or my life? No, it doesn't. And anything that you think is perfect, I can guarantee you it's not. But when I see all these people under the guise of, a political belief or a religious belief or a dietary belief or anything, spewing out, I don't even think that's a word.
It could be.
I just made it up.
You got a little sputing on you there.
A little sputum.
Yeah.
But you don't realize how much hate you're literally vomiting out of your pie hole when you're sitting here saying, I don't like you because of this, or I won't talk to you because of that, or vote this way, vote that way, or COVID this, COVID that. When you're just fixated on all of these things and how horrible everything is. And it's almost like on Facebook when people say just scroll past. If you don't agree with somebody's political beliefs, then don't have them in your life.
Yeah.
If somebody eats crap and you don't want to be around that, then don't have them in your life. You choose what you fill your heart with. And when you fill it with all of this hatred every day, I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
So I got recognized at my store, literally by my boss's boss.
Your boss's boss.
Right. And I talked last week about how I'm really lucky. For somebody who works for a large corporation, I love my job. I genuinely love my job. There's days that I hate it. And there's days that, working for a large corporation where, sometimes one hand doesn't talk to the other or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And whether you're a big corporation or a little corporation or a little tiny mom and pop outfit, there's hard decisions that have to be made on a daily basis. And sometimes you agree with them and sometimes you don't. That being said, I have never worked for a place that has been more supportive and inclusive than the place that I'm at now.
Wow.
And it's got its pitfalls, but literally everybody that I've ever met, all the way down to our HR guy, is absolutely fantastic. And it's weird for me to have that experience because I've had some pretty shitty jobs and pretty shitty bosses and some pretty shitty experiences. I've actually had to go through and talk to lawyers about a sexual harassment case for a company and literally switched offices because of a guy that just couldn't keep his hands off my ass and thought it was okay.
Wow.
In front of other staff. We were literally at a convention one day and he's literally standing next to me with his hand on my ass. And I said, I'm going to break your throat if you touch me again. And he laughed it off and it was no big deal. So, I've had both spectrums, but the fact that I genuinely do have leaders that genuinely have my growth in mind to make me a better person, make me a better leader, make me a better coach, and the recognition that we get, is absolutely fantastic. And it's funny to me when I look on Reddit or something and you see people pissing and moaning about how awful the company is, and if they pay too little, or they don't this, or they don't promote, or don't. Have you ever looked inside yourself and seen that, if you fill yourself with that much hate and horrible things, that maybe the reason that you don't get paid more, you don't get promoted, or you don't have a better life might have something to do with your perspective of things?
Yeah.
A little bit.
You think maybe a little?
Right. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, during a global pandemic, as an immunocompromised person with an undiagnosed autoimmune disease, with advanced liver disease, who works in retail, and a 12-day stretch, I'm doing really good. And it's funny to me when people come in my store, how you doing? No, I can't complain. Really? No, I can't complain. I got a husband that loves me. I got a happy life. I love to cook. I got a radio show. People that listen to me yammer on for an hour about whatever the hell I want to listen. Like, I really can't complain. So, take a look and see what you fill your heart with, and maybe shift your perspective. Because if all you're focused on is how much you hate a political candidate, or you hate that you can't go to a restaurant, or you hate this or hate that, maybe find a way to focus on the things that you love, or how you can better situations, or you can better the things around you. If you're so pissed off and you hate the fact that they're closing things down again here in the county, and you can't go sit in a restaurant, instead of focused on how much you hate that, how about you focus on what you can do to better the situation? What can you do to help those restaurants that get shut down? Can you order takeout once a week? Can you order? I just ordered lunch for my crew to say thank you. And I made damn well sure, as much as I know that Subway and McDonald's and all those places employ people, and those people need to keep their jobs, I made sure to order from a local mom and pop place to support them. So, those are the things that I choose to fill my heart with, which is why I'm having a fantastic week, regardless of how tired or anything I am. And it's funny because talking about filling your heart with things that are good and instead of hate, today's show is about cheating. Not, cheating on people, but cheating on your diet. Neither of which is really good.
How to stay low sodium while you cheat on your no.
Right? But it's no secret that I'm not a fan of diets. I don't like the word. I don't like restrictive diets. It's not my thing. And I get it. There are some people who do really, really, really well on things like Weight Watchers or the keto diet, or, counting calories, or using MyFitnessPal, or whatever it is, or, the new Noom. I think I'm saying that right. And I in all honesty, I haven't tried it yet, but Noom is probably the closest thing to anything that I would relate to as being my philosophy. Because it's not restrictive. It's just educating. It's opening your eyes to what you're eating and what you're consuming. So I also hate cheating. When people say, oh, I can have a cheat day, or I can have a cheat meal, I understand the premise behind it, but that means that you're on some sort of restrictive diet. And that means that you're not allowing yourself to have things, which means that's what you focus on. Mm-hmm. If you tell me I can't have ice cream, all I'm going to think about all day long is whether or not I can find a way to have ice cream. And then I have ice cream, and I probably have too much because I didn't plan accordingly. So if you're aware of what you're shoving in your pie hole, then you don't have to think about whether or not you can cheat on your diet or not cheat on your diet. You can eat what you want to eat because you're aware of what you're eating.
Right.
So, and there are some diets that it's just flat out dangerous. And some of them where you can't cheat. I mean, keto diet, for instance, when you change how your body gets energy.
Yeah.
And you fall off that diet, you have to go through the whole motion again. It's very, very difficult. It's hard things that if you are on one of those restrictive diets or whatever, or if you want to cheat, there's some things that there's ways to do it and be smart about it. So calorie rich meals are okay from time to time. The leptin in your body is an anti starve hormone. It's it's what makes your food or your body feel hungry. So it also helps regulate whether or not your body thinks you have plenty of food or not enough food. So it tells your body, if there's a food shortage, to store things and store fats and store whatever. So when you have a calorie rich meal once a week, your body goes, okay, there's plenty of food. It's the same concept of why people say to eat breakfast, because with you just fasted, and people don't realize that when you skip breakfast, if the last meal even if you eat dinner late and the last meal you ate was at 7:00 at night, and now even if you get up early, you get up at 5:00 in the morning, you take a shower, you get ready, and you head out for work, and it's 6:00, you just did an 11 or 12-hour fast, and then you don't. And if all you do is have coffee, you now given your body an inflammatory stimulant, and you go about your day, and you still don't eat until lunch. So you're fasting every single day. So it's this feast or famine, feast or famine. So as soon as you eat something, your body goes, holy crap, I need to store stuff because I'm not going to get fed again for 12 hours. So then you eat at 12 or 1:00 or 2:00, and you have a huge lunch, and usually fast food and horrible for you. And then only a few hours later, you eat a huge dinner, and then you don't eat again. So you eat twice during this small, big 6-hour, little 6-hour window, and then you fast. So your body's thinking, holy crap. And that's where that leptin hormone kind of says feast or famine. And are you hungry? Are you not hungry? Are you starving? Do you need to store stuff? Do we need to store fats and vitamins and whatever? So When you eat breakfast, it's that same concept. If you eat something, anything at all, a glass of water and a piece of toast, a glass of water and a piece of fruit, something simple, even if it's a small little 2 or 3 ounces of something, a handful of grapes or chocolate covered almonds, your body goes, okay, things are good today. I got food. And it changes things. So it's the same with having a calorie rich food meal once a week or so. It doesn't mean that you should do it every day, but it's a way to cheat and that's the problem, is when you restrict yourself and say, I can only have X amount of calories, or I can't have sugar, or I can't have ice cream, I can't have sandwiches or carbs or bread or whatever.
Right.
When you're so focused on telling yourself what you can't have versus being aware of what you're putting in your body to begin with, cheating is a whole lot easier. I have no problem eating chocolates, and I love the little Fig Newton style fig-filled breakfast bars.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the cookie, the Fig Newton cookie.
That's exactly what it is. There's, I get mine from Sam's Club. They're like Nature's something or other, but it's a fig-filled little cookie bar, breakfast bar. They're high in fiber. The ones I get, low in sugar. It's still a treat, so it's not the greatest. But if you're gonna have, at least it's something that I eat in the morning.
Yeah.
That gives me some kind of sustenance. That with I don't think people realize how small an 8-ounce glass of water is, because it's tiny.
Yeah.
So to be able to,
probably bigger than that's probably about a 10-ounce mug.
Right.
Least,
exactly. So when they're like, oh, you should have at least an 8-ounce glass of water in the morning. Really? It's like 3 sips. And if you're good at just slam a glass of water, it's not that big of a deal. Oh yeah. I think Pamela's right. Nature's Path. They're so good. Oh, they're so good. I almost said Nature's Miracle, which is a compound that you use to clean urine out of your rug if you have a dog that pees on your floor. So it's not Nature's Miracle, but that is good stuff if you have a dog or a cat that, has accidents in your house.
Let's not have Nature's Miracle for breakfast.
Right.
So, all right. It's interesting because that's exactly my pattern of it. Has been. And I go through stages of breaking. I mean, in fact, these chips, your chips and dip. When you walked in, I'm eating chips with no dip. But that's the first thing I ate. It's
a cheater day, so you can't. Couldn't not bring in something that wasn't a cheater. So I brought in ranch dip.
And it was really freaking good too. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. It is, but I mean, I almost every single day of the work, like Monday through Friday, I hardly ever eat anything in the morning. Usually not in the afternoon, usually not till I get home.
And that's everybody's style.
And that's just, yeah, and it looks like nothing. And I've allowed my body to get used to that. When I break that cycle, I do feel better physically, because then you're not like, oh, I'm so hungry, or man, I got a headache, or whatever. It's just yeah, you're absolutely right. And I don't actually eat that much, but my body says, oh, I'm getting jack crap until tomorrow night.
So it stores everything.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Sue says that her biggest challenge is portion control. And I am right there with you. Anybody that watches my show knows that I have a serious gripe against portion sizes, because when you buy, like at my store, we have these little tiny bags, little 5x7 bags of peppermint bark, especially now that the holidays are coming. And it's like 4 servings in a bag. You lie. That is 1 serving. I am sorry. A bag of combos, the little pretzel things.
Yeah.
That's a serving. A bag of potato chips. I mean, at least now they're starting to put the nutrition on the bag of potato chips that says nutrition for a serving and nutrition if your fat ass eats the whole bag, which is what it should say right on the top of it, because you know damn well that we're going to eat the whole flipping thing. And yes, so I have an issue with portion control, and I go back for seconds, thirds. And if you actually paid attention, it's funny because Ben and I just had this conversation. I got home last night at about 8:30, and because it's fast and easy, had him throw a chicken breast in the air fryer real quick. And I literally just had a seasoned chicken breast with green beans for dinner real quick. But that was at 9:00 at night. And even still, he's like, it was just taking forever in the air fryer to cook this chicken breast. And we're both going, I wonder what the hell? Like, we haven't been this off in timing. I know we've only had it a couple weeks, but this is really, I mean, it took like twice as long as it said it would. And then I was sitting there thinking about it, and I go, you know what? I guarantee I know what it is. It's because the timing says that it takes X amount of time. It's probably based on a serving.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Which is a 4-ounce piece of chicken. And of course I had a full chicken breast, which is damn near, 3/4 of a pound, which is like 3-4 servings. And I ate the whole thing, and I don't regret any bit of it. But serving and portion control is always really hard.
It is.
But at the same time, if you're balanced, so if you eat something in the morning and you have balance and you know what you're consuming, that key is knowing what you're consuming. Because if you know that you're getting enough protein or getting enough sugar or getting enough this, and you actually know what you have, then in my brain, because I know what I've already had, I automatically go, okay, I'm hungry. I want a snack. What do I want? And I start rolling through the Rolodex in my mind. It's like, you know what? I haven't eaten any fiber at all today. I'm going to have a fig bar. It's sweet. I like them. I enjoy them. Or I'm going to have chocolate covered almonds. Or, once you know what you are putting in your body, it makes cheating not cheating.
No,
and another problem I think people have is that it's a cheat snack or a cheat meal. It's not a cheat day or week or month. Like it's, but again, if you pay attention to what you're eating, then you don't really have a cheat month. You have a cheat snack or meal. So one of the other things is your body doesn't store carbs as fat until your glycogen or your sugar, your glucose.
Yeah, your glucose.
I think it's actually, your body converts it to glycogens. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I just like to research.
Well, like your pancreas goes into overdrive because of the glucagon that produces.
Right.
From the islets of Langerhans. I happen to know that's a fact.
Well, that's the thing is, so people are always so scared of carbs. And I mean, you don't want to go carb heavy, but at the same time, your body doesn't store the carbs as fat until it runs out of your sugar stores or your energy stores. So you can have a carb heavy meal and not have to worry as much about it. I mean, you're better off with a high carb than a high fat, because it's harder for your body to convert carbs to fat than it is to just convert fat to fat. it's just the nature of how your body converts things. And obviously, if you eat a high fat diet, your body doesn't have to go very far to convert a fat into
No.
another fat.
Yeah. And here's something interesting. Recently, this is weird because my wife and I, between the two of us, we've been doing some elimination diet
Mhm.
stuff, kind of like you talked about in the past, but also going through periods where both of us have been going through adjusted meds. I not, by the way, now I am actually off all
That's what
blood.
you were
I'm
saying.
off all blood pressure meds.
That's fantastic.
I no longer need to take them. Look at the shape of me, and you'll go, "Are you sure about that?" Yeah, actually. But the interesting thing is, when we were eating bacon, and not like by the
Mhm.
pound, but on a BLT
Sure.
or whatever, within minutes after eating bacon, headache's gone, and you actually feel kind of good.
Right.
And there's no pain in my stomach because there's actually very little meat on there,
Right.
and it's also not beef.
Right.
And as I'm like,
The
oh,
portion is
I
also
do
much
actually,
smaller.
yes, it is way smaller. I don't have to eat
Versus-
a pound
right.
of bacon to enjoy bacon. It's not
Right.
much to my contrary belief. That's not a requirement. But
it tastes good,
it
but
tastes
it's not a
good.
requirement.
It's not a requirement. You can still enjoy
Versus a burger.
Yeah, and I actually feel monumentally better after eating a simple bacon sandwich with maybe 3, maybe 4 slices of bacon on it, and I'm good.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow, that's bizarre, and my headache's gone.
And when you think of something like a BLT, as much as, I mean, that's one of the best cheats, especially if you get good quality bacon.
Yeah.
I personally do not like or want anything to do with turkey bacons. And
Oh,
I
Lord,
mean,
no. Turkey just needs to be turkey. It
right,
doesn't need
it
to be
just-
any other food. It
certain
can
things
stop
just
trying
need
so
to be what
hard.
they are.
Yeah.
But if you think about what a BLT is, especially if you get really good bread
Mhm.
or bakery bread or even make your own bread, then it's fabulous because it's a bunch of vegetables in a small portion of protein, which is what you should have.
Yeah.
So Nora says that she, thank you so much. I've been following you and she has lost 60 pounds. And that is absolutely fantastic. It makes me almost want to cry.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I love, and I never want to push my lifestyle on other people, but it's when someone says that anything that I do helps them, it makes me unbelievably happy.
Oh, and to share with you, my mom, who does catch your show, is actually trying your baked potato prep solution where she's going to go ahead. She loves, like you, she loves mashed potatoes.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, not baked potato, but mashed potatoes. She loves them, but rarely makes them because it's just her.
Right.
So she has actually made a big pot of mashed potatoes, and then she has scooped them into serving sizes into a little sandwich baggie, flattened them out, and placed them in her freezer so that when she wants to go get some mashed potatoes to have with her cauliflower or she loves Brussels sprouts or whatever.
I love it.
She can go get it and put it in it, and she's just been the happiest camper since I told her about that. And well, actually, she called. She said, how was she doing that? I'm like, yeah. That's why I described it to her. And she's like, oh, I can do that. I'm like, yeah, you probably can. So.
And when you want to talk about portion control, that is the easiest way, because at my peak, when I have the time and do prep all of that stuff, to be able to have these little pucks of mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, acorn squash, chili, sauces, pasta sauces, all of these things in my freezer. Now, if I want to make spaghetti or something like that, I mean, I've gotten really good at my tomato sauce, so I can whip it up in about 15 minutes, and my husband loves it. But to have those all just lined up in your freezer and ready to go, and they're the proper portions, it makes portion control so much easier. So I'm absolutely horrible at portions, but if you're balanced, your body is meant to, it has the appropriate tools within it to eliminate what you don't need. So if you're balanced and you have the right carbs and fats and sugars and proteins and vitamins and minerals and all of these things, it eliminates what you don't need. So when you eat on a regular schedule, so if you get up and you have a snack for breakfast, whether it's, something like a handful of almonds or cashews or fruit, or even a piece of toast, even if it's crappy processed white bread toast with salted butter, it's still some sort of food that goes in your mouth that makes your body go, okay, I'm not going to starve today.
Yeah.
So it's that balance throughout the day, in that knowing what you're consuming that makes cheating obsolete, because you don't need to cheat when you know what you're eating. And if you've eaten good, then even if you cheat, chances are your body's going to eliminate most of what it doesn't need, simply because that's what it does by nature. If you get drunk, it metabolizes the alcohol and gets rid of it. If you do it too much, it's going to ruin your liver. Your body is meant to filter through and get rid of all of these sugars and fats and proteins and all of this stuff. You just need to pay attention to how you're doing it. Because if you do only eat one meal a day, then your body's going to go, okay, I only get food every 24 hours. And when I do, it's a huge amount. So I'm going to store all of this. And when you're younger, it has a better chance. It's like a newer car. It's more efficient. And as it gets older, it gets less efficient and uses more gas and uses more oil. And it's the same as your body. The other trick, so like if you're going to go out to a restaurant, this one gets a little tricky for people that are like myself, that are watching their sodium or they are on medication, because restaurant food as a whole is saltier, because things need to taste good for patrons to want to come and go to your establishment. And usually that means using quite a bit of salt. You need to order some water. You drink a little bit of extra water. Ordering water with your meal, even if you're going to have a cocktail. If you start right off the bat, as soon as a waitress comes up, can I go get a glass of water? Or if there's water on the table, drink the water. If you don't like restaurant city water or whatever, then bring a bottle of water with you.
Yeah.
Again, an 8-ounce portion of water is really, really small, and it's not that much. So if you take a few swigs of water, it's not that big of a deal. But water, so, I mean, granted, you might get a little bit puffy like I do because of the extra water, but at the same time, with that extra salt, the water helps, the hormones that control how much you urinate, having that extra water actually helps keep all of that in check. So it might make you pee more, but by keeping that going, it helps your body eliminate that salt, and it helps you reduce the chances of being dehydrated. Even if you're going to go out drinking all night long, if you have a couple drinks, slam a glass of water, you're going to pee more, but you're going to be so thankful of it for the next day, because it's going to help keep those hormones in check, that keeps your system going, to keep the filtration of your body going. Because once you start to get dehydrated, everything starts to back up, and it causes a whole other host of problems. The other trick, and someone asked me about this on my page about bananas, because they said, why? Because I don't know if you follow my stuff, but you probably saw where I made bananas with peanut butter on toast.
Yeah, I just scroll past. That's one of those things I'll scroll past, because I just.
So the reason I posted about it is because everybody knows I don't like bananas. I eat them every day, because it helps keep all my stuff in check. Well, the post, I had said specifically that I tried to make my banana today a little bit more palatable by putting it on some rye toast with some peanut butter. Well, the grocery store was out of the natural peanut butter that I buy that is low sodium. So I bought the lowest sodium peanut butter I could find, which meant that my now piece of toast tasted like a salt block, because my palate has changed and I haven't had salted peanut butter since 2015. So now it was just a salty piece of toast with banana. So I've now suddenly made my breakfast worse. Like I went to make it better.
You had a salty banana. There you go.
But I had made a comment, I have a banana every day to help keep my sodium in check. And someone had asked, how does a banana help keep your sodium in check? you got to be careful with this one because potassium, if you're on any kind of medication, potassium almost always interacts with most medications. And if you're on potassium sparing water pills, again, same thing. You need to talk to your doctor. You need to make sure that you know how much potassium you can have. But because I'm not on any medications, even with advanced liver disease, increasing my potassium, potassium directly helps or inhibits, I should say, how your body absorbs and eliminates sodium. So by getting the appropriate amount of potassium, you don't overload, or if you have a high amount of sodium, it helps your body regulate that out. So if you're going to go out to eat, I will have a banana as a snack. A, I don't eat as much at the restaurant. Mm-hmm. B, I potassium load my body, and then I have a glass of water. And therefore, anything that I eat, when it's higher in sodium and things that I'm not supposed to have because I have to watch those things, it gives my body a better platform to be able to filter all of that out and recover faster.
Now, talking about recovering faster, it's time for a station identification break. There's no transition there. I just decided it's time for a station because we're at the bottom of the hour. And you are, of course, listening to Milo So Lifestyle on 216 The Net, real life internet radio, 216thenet.com. And or you're watching it on the Facebook live stream from Milo So Lifestyle's page, and or you're watching it on the YouTube live stream from 216 The Net. Mary, if people want to reach you and learn more about Milo So Lifestyle and everything that you do, how do they get a hold of you?
How do they get a hold of me? So technically I do have an email. It doesn't always come to me, so I haven't quite published it yet because I haven't figured that part of my website out yet. But MiloSoLifestyle.com, my Facebook page and my YouTube page, if you subscribe to it, and you can always send me a message on Facebook, which a lot of people do, and I will almost always respond instantly. So there's quite a few ways to get a hold of me until I figure out my email situation. In all honesty, I haven't really been pushing it simply because I get probably 200 emails a day between work and having a page and a radio station. I get a lot of emails. I mean, granted, a lot of them are useless junk, but I get a lot of emails that I have to go through. So Derek says sad because peanut butter is his favorite.
Yeah.
So peanut butter, especially if you make it yourself, peanut butter is actually really, really good for you. And you want to talk about a cheat. If you're going to cheat, add peanut butter to anything, whether it's apples or bananas or anything. If you're going to cheat and you want a snack, peanut butter is the way to do it, even if it's just a scoop of peanut butter. High sodium, processed, crappy peanut butter, on the other hand, is not the way to do it. So
all Kent wanted was to be acknowledged. Dude, all of your comments have appeared at the bottom of the screen. Now, if you need verbal acknowledgement, here you go. Kent has commented on your show, Mary. And
thanks,
now,
Kent.
now he's been acknowledged. Thank you, Kent.
So if Kent wanted to acknowledge me and actually show up to the station for my show, then he would have gotten chipped up too.
Probably, but you snooze, you lose, Jack. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
So
another trick for cheating is to take your time. Do you want a tissue, Kent? He probably does. You might want to drop a box of Kleenex off at the station, Derek. So
we have paper towels.
Those make horrible Kleenex. Although,
still functional.
Yeah, well, I was going to say something, but that's okay.
Okay. Well,
so another trick is to take your time. When you eat slower, you tend to eat less. So when you eat fast, you don't realize your full is quick. So it takes a little bit more time. So take your time, enjoy your meal, enjoy your cheat. If you are actually cheating, take the time to enjoy your cheat. If you're going to have pizza, if you're going to have burgers with your friends, slow down, you'll eat less. I have a friend of mine who she splits her meal almost every single time. So it's usually because, one of us when we all go out for a meal, does anybody want to split a salad? Or does anybody want to split a burger? Because if you ask the wait staff, we just want a burger, but can you cut it in half, put it on 2 plates? And they will. And then I get a half a burger, you get a half a burger, And by the time it gets there and you've talked and you've probably had bread from the table, you have your cheat, you take your time,
Yeah.
and you still feel good. You still feel full. You still feel satiated. That being said, you want to pick nutrient-rich food over empty processed crap. So if you are going to cheat and you want a burger and fries, then have a burger and fries. But get it from a place that makes actual burgers and fries. Because when you get fast food burger and fries, like an actual fast food chain, the amount of processed garbage in them, and the fact that the French fries are usually, like McDonald's, I think, makes their French fries out of 14 different potatoes.
Yeah.
Blended
So you get
together.
That, uniformity
Right.
of flavor. Yeah.
And blanched, and then mashed up and loaded with salt, and then shaped like a French fry and fried, versus going to someplace like Duke's Ale House where they cut French fries like an actual potato, or a steakhouse that actually cuts a potato into steak wedges and gives you a potato that might be seasoned with salt, but it's still better for you than the processed garbage that you get elsewhere. So if you're going to have a burger, then have a burger proper and go get one. So if you're going to cheat, make sure that it's nutrient rich versus empty garbage, because your body's going to store that empty garbage easier, because usually the empty garbage is nothing but fat.
Yeah.
So you're better off picking something good. Speaking of which, grass-fed over grain-fed beef, like this has always been the argument.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually truth to it. Grass-fed beef is lower in saturated fat, higher in omega-3s, higher in vitamin A, vitamin E. So the cows are healthier and happier. Therefore, the beef subsequently produced for your burger is happier and healthier, and you're better off choosing something of that nature versus mass-produced, grain-fed, processed, fast food chain burgers. So go have a good burger, because there's a lot of places, especially now. We got to support our restaurants. Like, go out and have an actual decent restaurant burger.
Yeah. And those can be, I mean, they're going to be better anyway.
Well, they sure taste better.
Yeah. That's what I'm meaning. That's what I'm saying. They're going to taste better anyway. Now, I'm not a fan of the thick burger. Don't like those.
I like the smash patties.
Yeah.
Like
they get a little
used to have.
Crispy on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those, that I like. But I'm not a big fan of the big giant, what do they call those, pub burgers or whatever? Nah, I don't. If I wanted a meatball, I'd eat a meatball.
Right. I mean, I do like them, but if I had to choose, if I had both in front of me, I'm going to take a flat top, smash down, like triple burger with cheese on a butter bun or a brioche.
Yeah.
There's the Billy Goat down in Chicago. They have really good burgers.
I've never been there.
I'm pretty sure they're down by Navy Pier. I don't know. It's been years and years and years since I've been down there, but
I think I've been to Navy Pier in that area once, and we've lived there since '93.
We went a few times. I used to walk down there sometimes just because I lived down there for a little while, so it was nice. It's pretty, at least when there's not 7,000 people on the pier. It's nice. But there's a million places to get a good burger versus going to a drive-through. And it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it, especially if you're going to cheat. It's better to get something that's made with real stuff, especially, I mean, so many places now are this farm to table, farm fresh. I mean, look at my farm group. There's so many different places that do support local, and Duke's is one of them. They, I can't remember the name. That's Slagle Farms or something like that. I can't pronounce it properly. They're down, I think, Southern Illinois. The other thing, don't cheat when you're starving. That's like, just don't grocery shop when you're starving.
Oh yeah, that's a
You'll
huge
come home with
mistake.
an entire aisle of crap that you don't need
every time.
Yeah. So when you cheat when you're starving, you tend to make the wrong choices, for one, and you tend to eat a shit ton.
Now, I've had the opposite problem where I'll go when I'm not at all hungry. We're walking through and my wife's like, "Are you getting anything?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm not really hungry."
Right.
And nothing looks good when you're not, when you're not hungry, there isn't anything that looks good because you're not hungry. So I've left grocery shopping with like maybe 2 or 3 items that I picked out,
That's hilarious.
and with no intention of going back for a week, and then I come in and I'm like, oh, we don't have anything that I want. So and he's like, well, I told you pick something out. So it's you have to be very mindful of what you're going to eat or want to eat.
True.
If you only do it like once a week, which is how we shop, really.
Oh, I go every day.
Yeah, we don't.
But I eat so much fresh food that I have to. We do. We eat so much fresh stuff that if I buy it a week at a time, the vegetables go bad, the things start to
Well,
spoil, and I throw away too much stuff.
I should qualify that. I don't.
Mary
Because she
Catherine
does,
does.
yeah, I mean, Mary Catherine, because she has to get the fresh vegetables for
Right.
the animals and such, which I've recently actually started picking up and eating instead of chips and such.
Sure.
The broccoli and the what's the white stuff?
Hummus.
No, the white.
Oh, cauliflower.
Yeah, cauliflower.
The white stuff.
And the other green.
Green beans.
No.
Kale. Spinach.
No, the hard green.
Broccolis.
No, broccoli. Yeah, but it's the long. Criminal.
Cucumbers and zucchini.
No, friggin', you put peanut butter in it.
Oh,
So,
celery.
yes, there you go. There you go. Sorry.
I love that it's like a game of Wheel of Fortune or something to try and figure out what kind of vegetable
Because I
Pete
can't
is thinking of
think
because
of
he
the
doesn't
word
like vegetables.
celery, because how often do I say that word because I don't like it? But at the same time, and the little teeny tiny finger size carrots.
Oh yeah, the baby carrots, which
Yeah.
aren't really baby carrots. They're just put through a machine to be shaved down to look like bite-sized baby carrots. I haven't made air fried. Ted says make air fried pork chops at home. I haven't made air fried pork chops just because I haven't been to the butcher to get pork chops. I can't buy no salt or unbrined pork anywhere but either Sam's Club or the butcher. So I will probably, my next trip up to the farm, I will get some pork from my friends, either at Dykstra's or at Hefzibah Farms here in the near future when I have some time off, because I really want, we did make a pork tenderloin, but unfortunately for low sodium options, there's not a whole lot when it comes to the way of the pig, unless you go to a butcher, because everybody brines it because it lasts longer and it's easier to cook and not as hard to overcook and ruin. So try making what you crave healthier. So if you want, if you crave French fries and potato chips or dips and things of that nature, try making them healthier. If you're a pasta person, try zucchini noodles. I would rather just chop them up in big chunks and make a zucchini dish than go through the effort of turning my zucchini into a noodle, because I could really care what shape it's in. That's just my own personal preference. So
And
what is Kent?
Kent recently got an air fryer. He was talking about it. Apparently, he doesn't know how to use it. It probably came with a manual.
Yeah, I was going to say ours did, but there's so far pretty much everything that we've made has been like 390, 400 degrees for anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes.
I never change any when I use it. Like my wife uses our air fryer, and she, does everything you're supposed to do with regard to what you're cooking and all
Right.
that. I dump stuff in it. I push it in. I turn on the little thing. I push air fry, and then I'm done. And I just wait until I feel like maybe it's probably done. And I've never had a problem with it.
We love it. We have not had anything bad come out of it, and it makes it easier to have things. And it's funny because one of the recipes, I was looking up for fried chicken because it's an air fryer, so you're supposed to be able to make. I made.
Hey, you can. She's done it. It's
Right.
really friggin' good.
I made chicken fried steak the other night, and it was just funny because all of the recipes that I found said to liberally coat after, you season it and dredge it and flour and seasoning and all that and whatever, and you make the chicken fried steak thing, to liberally spray it with cooking spray. So this is what's funny about air fryers is they're supposed to be super healthy because of, and sort of they are because of the way in which they cook things. But if you're going to liberally douse it with cooking spray, you just negated that part of it.
Probably.
Granted, and here's the thing about fried foods. If done properly, they don't absorb a lot of the fat. So if you've ever been to a restaurant and had a greasy French fry or greasy chicken or greasy whatever, the oil wasn't hot enough, period. When the oil is hot enough, that reaction, as soon as you put that French fry into the fryer, it reacts with the moisture on the outside of the fry, pushing the oil away, frying the fry. It makes it nice and tasty. And if you don't let it sit in the oil afterwards and actually drain it properly, they don't absorb a lot of the oil. When the oil is not super hot or hot enough, then you put something in there to fry it, it just starts absorbing that oil until it does get hot enough to actually fry it.
Mm.
So when the technique is properly done, frying food, especially if you use the appropriate oils, is not necessarily as horrible for you as people think it is.
No.
I mean, granted, you still don't want to live off of it, even if you are doing it properly. But I just thought it was funny that, liberally coat your stuff in. So I'm still frying it. I'm just saturating my stuff in saturated fats. But so try making what you're eating or what you're craving healthier. If you like potato wedges and the French fries.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go to a restaurant, and I've done a lot of research, and when my girlfriends ask to go out to eat, I will specifically try and pick places that I know cut their own French fries. Cause then I'm golden. I can have a burger. I can have a steak. I can have a piece of chicken. I can have whatever I want in French fries because the potato, that carb is filling. So I feel like I got what I wanted. I got to go out. I got to have a good time, and I don't have to think about it because it's super easy to say, I just want unsalted fries.
Yeah.
Versus if they make a rice or a pasta dish, all of everything that they put on it is going to be loaded, and I just can't have it.
Yeah.
So, broccoli slaw. So I make a lot of broccoli slaws only because the grocery store has pre-made broccoli slaw packets.
What is a broccoli slaw?
So instead of a coleslaw, which is just sliced cabbage, which is also good for you, broccoli slaw is the same little matchsticks of broccoli and cabbage and stuff like that. So it's just more nutrient rich than just cabbage alone. So it's still a coleslaw.
Okay.
And thin strips of it. It's just got broccoli in it, and you don't realize it because it's crunchy and it's not cooked, so it doesn't smell sulfuric like broccoli does when it's cooked.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Kent, go to YouTube. They have videos. YouTube is your friend. YouTube and Google.
Yeah.
You can learn how to do anything.
Pretty much.
So fruit smoothies and shakes. This one is hard because commercially made smoothies a lot of times are filled with a lot of sugar and a lot of sugar juices, and commercially made juices that are sugar bombs and sugar and sugar and sugar and sugar.
Yeah.
And the same with shakes. If, however, you make them yourself or you go to a place that does make fresh fruit smoothies where it's literally fruit, they are actually pretty healthy for you. If it's the whole fruit made into a smoothie, or if it's a shake that's like a protein shake with peanut butter and stuff like that, like a peanut butter and avocado chocolate shake is actually pretty good. Because for somebody like you who doesn't like banana, and every protein shake on the planet says, oh, throw some banana in there for thickening,
that sounds horrible. Peanut butter
Right.
and avocado?
You don't taste the avocado.
That's what you said about the banana.
Banana's a really strong flavor, though. Avocado is a really mild flavor.
See, I don't like guacamole. I hate guacamole. It's so
What
gross.
is wrong with you?
Guac is nasty.
Oh, it's the best thing ever.
It looks like something in a baby's diaper.
Lots of things look disgusting. We still eat it.
And well, I've tasted it. I'm not saying that. I have actually tasted guac. I am not a guac fan. I do not care for guac at all.
And that's actually on my list here of healthy options is guacamole, because I will literally I could eat an entire bowl of guacamole.
You're welcome to it.
Yeah.
I'll give you you can have, if anyone ever serves us guac, you can have all of the guac on my plate or my portion.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
So But smoothies and shakes can actually be really good. And there's a lot of ways to have them, whether you have, peanut butter or spinach or bananas or protein or yogurt or fruits. Obviously, you're better off when you make them yourself, but they can be very, very filling, and they can be very good for you as long as you don't dump a bunch of concentrated sugar-loaded juice in there. So my big snack is chocolate-covered nuts.
Yeah.
Of any kind.
Yeah.
Almonds, cashews.
Oh, yeah. Pecans. I love chocolate-covered pecans. Pecans are my favorite nut. I like
cashews.
I like cashews too.
I'm a cashew.
Cashews would be like a second. Pecans, cashews, then probably pistachio and or walnut. So
Ken's turning my show R-rated.
yeah, well,
Not that I give a shit, but
hey.
Made pumpkin peanut butter this morning. Really?
Pumpkin peanut butter. What's that?
A pumpkin peanut butter smoothie.
Because I like pumpkin anything. That is one thing. Is pumpkin a vegetable? Is that a thing? Or is it
It's
like
a
something?
squash.
It's a squash.
So yeah.
Well,
so.
I like pumpkin anything. You tell me it's got pumpkin in it, I'm all in. I won't hesitate. I'll jump in, both feet first. I've had pumpkin chili. It was the frick fantastic.
See, I
thought
like
it was going to
pumpkin.
be. I thought it was going to be weird. It was good.
Well, pumpkin is one of those things where you think that you know what pumpkin tastes like, but when you have just pumpkin, it's different.
Yeah,
it's not
completely.
as sweet. It's not as cloying. It's I am a big fan of acorn squash.
I've had acorn squash soup.
Yeah, I like acorn squash
But
chili.
nothing beyond
I
that.
like acorns. I might try an acorn squash smoothie just to see how it turns out, because I made acorn squash risotto a couple weeks back, and it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So
turned out amazing.
How did she make? And I know
Probably
the word
pureed pumpkin and peanut butter.
Okay, there we go. Pureed pumpkin and peanut butter.
Turned it into a
thinking,
smoothie.
Would you just scoop out the pumpkin you were making for Halloween and toss it in there? You could.
Well, if you want to make your own pumpkin
But
puree,
that's
then
not
yeah.
gonna be, I mean, it probably wouldn't be as good as using one of those pie pumpkins, because there's a different flavor,
Right,
between a Halloween style pumpkin and a pie pumpkin.
Yeah, carving pumpkins and cooking pumpkins are different. Just like anything else, onions, potatoes, tomatoes, all of them. You have different varieties and different flavors, and different onions are suited for different cooking techniques and purposes. And you don't want to necessarily put one on a sandwich and have it be overpowering, and then put another one in a dish and not taste it at all. It's the same with pumpkin. So the carving pumpkins are usually not as flavorful, or what you would think of as using to cook with.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can either buy pumpkin puree, and you can get no salt added pumpkin puree.
Okay.
So if you're on my side of the spectrum where you need to watch your sodium, you can easily get that too. But the pumpkin puree and some of those things, they're not necessarily difficult to make. But the same with the acorn squash that I like to make all the time, those can be difficult to work with. And there's tricks around that. But when you're working with those types of squash or gourds where they're really hard. And it's not something that's easy to peel and get to the flesh and stuff like that. So it takes a little bit of doing. So do your research before you decide to make your own pumpkin puree. Chocolate peanut butter protein shake. What?
Oh, he says it's yummy.
What is a good acorn squash recipe? I have 4 of them and want to cook them up. So in all honesty, my go-to that's super easy is cut it in half, scoop out the seeds, and you can roast those just like you roast pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
Absolutely no different. So scoop out the seeds, do another dish with those. But I put a tablespoon or a pat of butter inside the little cavity of the acorn squash. And I put a teaspoon of brown sugar and kind of like sprinkle it around the top and the edges in the center. And then I put chipotle powder. So it gives it a little spice.
Yeah.
And then I just put it on a cookie sheet and bake it in my oven, 350 for 45 minutes. And you can literally, I just take the whole thing and put it in a bowl just because if you stab through that skin, you're going to get juice all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's hot as hell. In a bowl and eat it straight out of the skin.
Really?
Mhm.
Huh.
You can eat the skin too, but it's really, really, really bitter. It's good for you, but it's really bitter. So unless you have a bitter palate and like that kind of thing, like some people like potato skins and some people don't.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. You can eat acorn squash skin, but it's really bitter.
Huh.
So someone like you who can have salt, but although you haven't had a whole lot of salt lately, you might not want to add any to it. But honest to God, a tablespoon of butter, some brown sugar, and some chipotle spice, and that's it. Bake it off, and it's fantastic. I also actually cut them up and cube it and steam it and mash it, and I make chili with it. And I got about 1 million. I love acorn squash. I make 1 million different acorn squash recipes. What else did I have? Oh, lettuce wrapped tacos. You can cut the calorie and carb out of your taco significantly. Same with burritos. You lose like 200 or 300 in a burrito, sometimes 400 calories.
Oh.
And the carbs just from the tortilla.
Yeah.
So if you switch to either like bib lettuce or the butter lettuce and do a taco lettuce wrap or a burrito lettuce wrap, or a taco bowl or burrito bowl, or what I like to do is same with that acorn squash. If you have a taco style recipe with chicken, fish, or ground beef with taco-y type stuff, beans, rice, whatever, corn, jalapeno, spiciness, sauce, and put it inside an acorn squash, or over a baked potato. So instead of having a tortilla, it's, if you have that actual food of, not that tortillas aren't food, but you know what I mean? Like a whole food, an actual grows itself, balanced potato, acorn squash, something that grew out of the ground, you pick it and you put stuff on it, is going to be way better than a tortilla wrapped burrito or something like that.
And I've had like like a cheeseburger baked potato, or we called them taco bakers, which is just a baked potato, but everything that you would put on a taco.
Yep. Sour cream, beef, everything, cheese, whole 9 yards, put it on top of baked potato.
And it's really freaking good. Now I've done the same thing with tots, but you can't do tots unless you make them yourself.
Right.
But I have totted nearly everything you can think of.
Anything can be totted.
Yeah, I friggin'
pretty much spaghetti can be totted.
Yeah.
If you put spaghetti sauce on top of tater tots, nacho tots, taco tots, burrito tots, pizza tots, pizza tots, everything can be totted.
Yep, anything and everything. I like chili tots, chili cheese tots, anything tot.
And that's why I do I called it a gravy, vegetable gravy on a baked potato.
Yeah.
Same thing. Take a baked potato, cut it in half, split it open, a couple little slices of butter. And I made a vegetable gravy, which was literally what you think that gravy would be. Just, a flour-based kind of gravy with vegetables, onions, garlic, zucchini, whatever I had, and literally just dumped that over a baked potato. And it was fantastic. Like loaded baked potatoes with anything, the same as tots.
Yeah.
They're just really good, and it's better for you than pasta or anything else.
Yeah.
So you have all that
and
stuff.
It's not. It's
my cat walked crazy. I was wondering what you were doing there, Pamela. I'm like, is that a face? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I clicked on it. I'm like, I don't think that's a thing. And then,
is that code? Are you okay?
So we're down to 1 minute here. One more time, you've been watching and listening to Milo So Lifestyle with Mary Shep here on 21/6 The Net. And Mary, how can they get you real quick?
Oh, subscribe to my YouTube page, Milo So Lifestyle. Subscribe to my station's YouTube page, 21/6 The Net. And then our website's 216thenet.com, mylosolifestyle.com. And then, of course, our Facebook pages. Feel free to send an instant message or anything, anytime, any suggestions, any show topics, any questions you have or want us to discuss. Feel free to let us know. It's fantastic. And we love being here every single week. I still can't believe that it's been over a year.
Been over a year.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, do stay tuned for a very special episode of Mike and Fran Unrehearsed coming up today at 12 noon, just seconds away. And then again, Saturday, Halloween, for the Mike and Fran Halloween episode on Saturday at 12 noon. Meanwhile, this has been 21/6 The Net and Mary Shep's Milo So Lifestyle. We'll be back again next week, Thursday. See y'all later. And away we go.